Chapter 11 of The Coming People. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. The Coming People by Charles F. Dole. Chapter 11. The Motto of Victory. What would we not give to possess a definite and absolute program for the reconstruction of society? How delightful it would be if some good and wise pope or an angel from heaven could promulgate by a series of 10 commandments what we ought to do, by what precise methods we might overcome the evils and abuses of our government, correct the unrighteous distribution of our wealth, cleanse away the squalor of tenement houses, solve the ugly problem of unemployment, and bring about universal human welfare and happiness. Procure for us a valid supernatural edict, guaranteeing in advance the wisdom of Mr. Bellamy's plan, or the method of the single tax, and with what enthusiasm would we take all risk and join the new party, or organize the new church to convert the world to our cause. As soon as any level-headed person begins to ask definite questions, serious difficulties appear in the way of every new scheme for the reconstruction of society. In the first place, we have a singularly uniform verdict of experience against the possibility of any specific panacea for human ills. Again and again the cry has been raised, lo here or lo there, but, like the fabled spring of perpetual youth, the desired panacea has never been found. Remedies, reforms, new machinery, institutions, laws, forms, customs, have their place and value. The old and corrupting custom must no doubt give way to the new and finer form. But it is a deep law of the world that no outward arrangement, however admirable, can ever give man lasting satisfaction or social health. Proclaim the laws of the ideal republic tomorrow in Tahiti or Venezuela, and you will still have political resistance, labor, and pain. For civilization is essentially from within. Till the man is ripe, his institutions, his industrial and economical arrangements, his liberties will forever remain imperfect. There is no law more inexorable than this. It is involved with the very warp and woof of the great thought of evolution. The expectation of a panacea, physical or social, is only in a new form the old world expectation of a miracle or intervention. No really thoughtful mind, no good evolutionist imagines that the most charming Bellamy plan could be made to fit a world of angry Hungarian miners, of striking cigar makers, of grasping monopolists, of Jay Goulds, Quays, and Platts, or that any ingenious and elaborate outward contrivance would cure the fundamental evil of human selfishness. The bare contemplation of any scheme of social reconstruction presupposes a goodly number of men and women who, being inwardly reconstructed themselves, are prepared to make brave ventures in its behalf, and to encounter resistance in order to carry it out. The fact that men are very slow to see is, that the evils that vex us belong to us and fit our present condition. The faulty institutions, the bad laws, the injustices and inequalities of distribution, match the inward and moral condition of society. Are there millionaire robbers? It is because the millions also are grasping and selfish. They desire to be millionaires too. Are the legislators wasteful and negligent? It is because the millions of us waste and spoil and are careless of duty. The American people have not yet earned their passage into paradise. An uncivilized people has no right to claim the results, titles, and appurtenances of civilization faster than they are earned and paid for. Let us grant willingly that outward changes, working more exact justice, react upon the character of the man who makes them, that the improved machinery tends to demand, and at least to produce, an improved man. We are still in honest doubt which among the various new schemes now offered us to select and adopt as our program. Reformers often liken our present social problems to the question of slavery. But that was a simple and distinct moral issue. The slaveholder himself could hardly call his system ideal or righteous. The general opinion of mankind branded it as barbarous. There is hardly one of our modern questions of this simple order. Here is the temperance problem, for instance. What sane person can be quite sure that his own method of disposing of it is the only right one, and that everything else is wrong? But the temperance question is only one issue among the complicated social and economical problems before us. All that we can agree to is that many startling evils exist. We are all impatient of the processes of an evolving world, consuming precious time. We want the stroke of a miracle. It is a curious fact that anarchists and state socialists promise relief in opposite directions. Both state socialists and anarchists compare the ideal commonwealth which in their vision they see, freed from imperfections, with the existing regime as seen from the side of its faults. There is no fallacy so frequent and treacherous as this kind of comparison. Can it be seriously supposed that men can ever enjoy institutions better and more faultless than the men who manage them? Give us perfect and civilized men, and we shall have little or no need of laws, sheriffs, and courts. Give us the right kind of men, and we need have no fear of the tyranny of majorities, or the stagnating inertia of a colossal bureaucracy. Let us imagine what even the competitive system might be in the hands of a truly civilized people. Let the individual be a social and beneficent man. Let all earn and keep money as honestly as some already earn and use their money. Let the man struggle, not to hold others back, but to lift others to his own level. Let him alter the emphasis of his competition, say, rather, his emulation from the side of getting his dues to the other side, namely, paying his dues. And who shall say that this ideal of industrial freedom does not include all the social justice that the nicest conscience requires? It is evident that there is no distinct program of social reform upon which we can at present expect thoughtful and earnest men to unite. So far as we can unite at all, our field of vision must be broad and inclusive. We must recognize the tendency in human nature that runs toward individualism and makes a certain class of able men shy of the constraint of laws, institutions, and systems. We must leave room also for those who can see their way only a short distance in advance, and therefore have to be opportunist, if this word may be taken in a noble sense. This is very broad, but it is not indefinite. We already largely agree that certain specific evils must go. Certain supreme ends must be attained. Justice must be done at any cost. We must achieve a social order, held together not by force or statute law, so much as by mutual respect and sympathy. We must win room for every man freely to work out his manhood. We must help all to be sharers as largely as possible in the world's resources. We see the distant goal as one sees the outlines of mountain tops upon the horizon. Between us and the hills are unknown forests and rivers. We do not dare to promise beforehand by what kind of bridges we shall cross the rivers. So we march toward our ideals of human virtue, happiness, and well-being. Wherever the opportunity offers, we go on and upward, one step at a time. We purpose to be at the same time both idealist and practical men. This is to be opportunist. I have not said this with the intent to chill anyone's enthusiasm, least of all to keep things as they are. The old church tried to unite men in a plan for getting to heaven. Our new church aims to unite men in bringing about the conditions of heaven here on this earth. We hold that this earth is God's world, subject to the bracing and imperative laws of the universe. We hold that the sovereignty of the world is coming to be in the hands of men who live as God's sons. What we want is some simple motto or formula by which, as in the days of the primitive gospel, we may rally together and win victory. Is there such a motto of victory, simple enough for plain people and children, absolutely reasonable to the thinkers, profoundly religious, imperative to the conscience, and persuasive to enthusiasm? The motto which I propose is something like this: Show us whatever is good for mankind, and we will try to bring it about. Tell us whatever means will bring good, and we are pledged to use them. If we can leave good behind us, we shall have made our lives a success. If we can enrich mankind through any form of human service, we shall have truly lived. To do good is to express our nature. To express our nature, largely, is to fulfill our manhood. Ethics, the social instinct, religion, philosophy, all are satisfied when the human life is allied heart and soul to the universe forces of good. Say then, we are here at every step of our way to do good, and you have spoken our motto of victory. Persuade men to say this in earnest, and you have established our new and humanitarian church. But we are careful not to bind and compel anyone. We may not all think the same thing to be good. We will be modest. We will treat others as generously as we wish to be treated ourselves. We recognize that since our first parents' original venture with the mythical tree in the Garden of Eden, man must find the good by experiment, by labor, sometimes by personal sacrifice, by error and failure also, marking the wrong way henceforth as dangerous passing. Slowly the world accumulates the costly products of its earnings and experiences. Show us, O man, whatever is good, better, best, and we follow. Let me not fail to make the single condition quite plain. Men have tried to discover what was good or pleasant for themselves. They did not know that what is not good for the hive cannot be good for the bee. This master principle is the foundation of our new church, party, our nation. It is a total change of the old emphasis. We are not here for ourselves, but for the good of all, or we are only here for our own good as it comes through and with the grander social good of the commonwealth. Is a certain act, then, good only for me and not for others? I will not do it. I will go hungry first. Is it good for others, and does it threaten not to be good for me? If it is really good for the whole, I will trust, though I may not see how, that it will be good for me also. Is it good for the city? I will trust that if I do the best for my city, it will be well for my friends and my family too. Is it best for the nation? I will trust that it will be well for my state or my party. Is it necessary for the good of mankind, for all the nations? Then I must vote that my nation shall help accomplish it. Show us only what is truly best for all, and I am here to do it. The universe is pledged to sustain that which is best. I would not dare or wish to fight against it. If indeed the good, social, moral act were not ordered and upheld by God, there would not be any universe. The word Christian serves well to symbolize the highest actual form as well as the most exalted ideal of the development of divine manhood. To be a Christian is, in broad and universal terms, to belong to the new, beneficent, and victorious order of man, doubtless after the fashion or type of Jesus. The old-fashioned and merely conventional Christian was here to save his own soul. Show him what was good for himself, and he vowed to do it. We propose a totally different standard. It is a standard that few as yet throughout the long history of religion have comprehended, that fewer yet have been willing heartily to adopt. We will call no one a Christian in modern terms who is not pledged, as Jesus was, to the prompt, willing, gladsome performance of social duty. To refuse to serve the good of all disfranchises a man from the citizenship of the universe. Let us briefly see what our motto will do when applied. Try it with the vexed question of temperance. Shall we use wine or not? Not all good men are yet ready to make the same answer. But the key to the answer which society is seeking is one and the same. We will not use wine if it makes our brother to offend. We mean this in no narrow sense. We mean, if on the whole the use of wine seems to harm human society and to degrade the manhood of our people, we will give up its use. Whichever answer we make, we are bound to join hands with others in any just measures to stop the evils of the alcohol habit. Nay, more, if we use wine, we are the more bound, if possible, by our sympathies with those who have been wrecked in steering the same course with ourselves, not to let those evils go unabated. Here is the great economic question of how best to distribute the burdens of government through righteous taxation. We may or may not believe in the single tax, but we are at one with all honest citizens in our wish not to bear 1 cent less than our share of the common burdens. We would rather pay too much than too little. We want no system that tempts men to become shirks. Let us convert men to be Christians after this practical pattern. Let us teach them the universe principle embodied in our motto, and it will not take long to discover more righteous methods of taxation. Let us not be afraid to do whatever is just. Let us make it evident that our proposed reforms represent not our selfishness, but our generous intent. Many persons look with alarm and jealousy on the fortunes that individuals have amassed in a single lifetime. Our laws have allowed extraordinary prizes as the reward of skill, energy, ingenuity, and the faculty of organization in business. The laws have also worked so as to permit enormous fortunes to be made by speculation and dishonesty. Grant for the present that these huge winnings are incidental to a system that has fostered enterprise and has, on the whole, enriched the whole country. Sagacious men ought to see that the time may have come for substantially modifying the amount of tribute that enterprise and ability are allowed to levy upon the product of the world. There were never before so many men, thinkers, teachers, poets, artists, inventors, who stand ready to use their powers for the good of all. The best men make no high demands for reward and pay. We do not think so ill of the men who possess ability for business as to suppose that they will not use their skill and energy unless fabulous prizes are held out to them. Ask the successful man whether it is fair that he should still claim to keep all that he can get. Let him own that his claim to unlimited possession is at best merely legal. Appeal to his chivalrous nature to see that generosity and the truest justice are one. The number of those who hold considerable property by inheritance is rapidly growing. A large percentage of the total income of the country thus goes to the support of men and women who have never labored with hand or brain. By law and ancient custom we have established, in fact, a privileged class. Persuade the men and women who enjoy inherited fortunes that humanity, duty, and religion alike require them to accept our comprehensive motto, and what will they do? They will surely be ready to consider temperately whether their present privileges are not excessive and contrary to the public interest. They will never have the face to resist measures which promise, even at their own personal loss, to ensure the larger well-being of all the people. If, on the whole, the privilege of such unlimited inheritance is continued, they will recognize their enormous obligation to use their fortunes for the public interest. What a mockery the profession of the Christian religion is in the mouths of men who are not willing to do whatever appears best for the good of their fellows. What astounding audacity it is for any class of men to insist upon their right to be supported out of the wealth which they have done nothing to earn. We are all socialists today with respect to our public schools, our municipal water supply, our postal service, and many other things which we do quite successfully together. No one can say that we may not wisely go farther in this socialistic direction. Why should not the state control forests and mines? Why should not the city own and manage its street railways? As plans of this sort are from time to time prepared, they are always met by the clumsy forces of prejudice and selfish interest. They are not even fairly discussed on their merits. Let us bring up the new generation to be fair-minded and magnanimous. Let us not fear to try experiments together in the name of the public weal. Let us, at least, be able to show other than selfish causes why the city, the state, or the nation may not assume new and larger functions. Neither, if we believe in God, let us be altogether afraid to trust the people. On the other hand, let us not be scared by the word anarchist, as if it must always mean a red-handed assassin. Let us interpret the motto of our religion so that the anarchist also, if he is a true man, may adopt its principle. We propose to do whatever the public good commands. We believe that the good of all includes the good of each. The anarchist proposes to obey this principle as a volunteer, rather than by compulsion of majority votes and laws. Show him that what the public does is good, and he will freely contribute his share. Let the anarchist persuade us, if he can, that men may be trusted to do what is best, without any force except the mild sway of public opinion. I have purposely chosen for my illustrations very difficult subjects, upon which at present good men differ. Civilization has been called the art of living together. I have wished to show that the great need in living the civilized life is a certain attitude or temper. The attitude of fairness, the temper of goodwill, brings men together into the ideal society or commonwealth. All experience goes to prove that, as soon as men desire the same righteous ends, their differences presently work out toward harmony. Even their experiments and errors of judgment become the common means of showing one another what all now wish to know, namely, what is best for all. Egotism, conceit, pride, avarice, selfishness, twist the real and tedious knots in all problems. The knots are untied as soon as men ask, what is good for us all, and are willing, when shown the way, to do simply that which is right. The beauty and wisdom of this universal formula is shown by the fact that under its rule men are being naturally fitted, educated, and even compelled toward those very institutions and systems which will eventually compose a noble civilization. It is certain at present that neither the money kings of Wall Street, with their short views and bad moral perspective, nor the politicians at Harrisburg, Albany, or Washington, nor the labor leaders, often facetious and greedy, offer as yet that supreme devotion and capacity needful to guide the steps of mankind into the happy valley of utopia. They do not even know the way there themselves. But grant for a moment that the coming world is to be distinctly socialistic, and then give us men and women among rich and poor, in the ranks of the educated, among the thinkers and philosophers, among the statesmen, among the leaders of labor, the captains of industry, and the masters of capital, committed to the principle of our motto, willing to go freely wherever you show them that the good of man requires. Do you not see that we are preparing men devoted, unselfish, intelligent, to be our guides, to show us the way as fast as the multitude of men are able to follow? Convert men first to the social principle, and all the rest will take care of itself. The changes first to be made are inward and moral. The outward and mechanical system will adjust itself afterwards, as the work of the artist fashions itself when once the idea takes shape in his mind. This proposed inward conversion is no chimera outside the lines of actual human experience. On the contrary, our noble formula appeals as gospel to the chivalrous nature in all of us. Show us how to enrich human well-being, and the man is not respectable who refuses to listen. Persuade us that any course of conduct is right, and all that is best in us rushes forward to carry the right into action. Reason, conscience, the sympathies, urge us. Never before were there so many on this planet whose hearts respond to our motto. Never were there so many waiting to join the one church that puts all differences aside and only demands of its disciples that they do whatever the voice of the good clearly bids. Who shall say that the springtime may not already be here for the new church and its new order of chivalry? Who does not see that after the long winter, when ice and snow were the fashion, the welcome blossoms appear? Who shall predict the possibilities when an intelligent generation shall train its children to the brave, social, chivalrous universe life, to share and to give, to serve and to love? End of chapter 11.